on the president and the midterm elections. Ronna McDaniel heads the Republican National Committee. We did reach out to the head of the DNC, Tom Perez, and did not get a response. Ronna, it's good to see you this afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Great to be with you.
So is this just an up and down vote, do you think, for President Trump going into the midterms? Is this a referendum on the president being able to get his agenda executed?
I don't think that. I think these special elections are called special elections for a reason. There's only 2 candidates on the ballot. Turnout is a huge issue. In August, in Ohio, the week before school starts, turning out that vote is going to be critical. And I will tell you, President Trump would win this district today, and he would win it in November. His numbers are very strong. It really comes down to the 2 candidates. How do they get their message out? And then turning out our voters and making sure Republicans understand that Democrats are going to come to Washington to resist and obstruct, and Republicans have delivered results that mean more jobs, higher wages, and a better economy for people in Ohio. And that's why they need to go vote for Troy Balderson.
A couple of weeks ago, the president said that he's going to be getting out more and more. I think these rallies really empower him. He likes the energy he gets from the crowds. If he's campaigning 5 to 6 days a week going into the midterm elections, that's going to move the needle, isn't it? For the Republicans.
It is. The biggest concern Republicans have going into this midterm is complacency. Listen, the party that holds the White House usually loses on average 30 seats in the House going into that first midterm. We need to wake up our voters and let them know that they have got to come fight for this election, fight for this turnaround that this country is feeling. People are taking home more money. They are feeling better. Their lives are better because of Republicans in Washington. And the only way we're going to set the Washington straight and get bipartisanship in Washington is to reject the Democrat playbook of obstruct and resist and not working with this president at anything. So we have to reject that and bring more Republicans, and then Democrats will rethink, yeah, maybe we should work with this president because this resist and obstruct playbook didn't work for us in November.
Well, there certainly have been a fair amount of filibusters and pushback on the president's agenda by the Democrats, so he needs more Republicans in the Senate and the House.
Yeah, and he needs Democrats who are going to come work with him. Democrats from day one of this administration have sat on their hands. Look at the nominations that are sitting in the Senate because they're refusing to move them forward. Important ambassadorships all across this country. We are seeing vacancies because Democrats are refusing to do their job because they have refused to accept the results of the 2016 elections. The only way to repudiate that is to send Republicans to Washington and reject the Democrat resist and obstruct playbook. Then Democrats will come and they will say, we have got to work with Republicans. Voters want bipartisanship. This president's willing to work with Democrats. He's held out his hand to them many different times. He wants to work together to make our country better. And boy, think of the results we would get if we were working together.
Well, that's why I asked you from the start, is this an up or down vote, down the line vote for President Trump getting his agenda executed? Let me get your take on what the priorities will be after the midterm elections. So the president needs more Republicans in the Senate. He's said that many times. He's trying to campaign for the Republicans going into the midterm elections, so he has more support in terms of votes, getting his legislation through. What are the priorities, Ronna?
Well, he's laid out that infrastructure is a huge priority for him. We recognize that we have an infrastructure that's crumbling across this country. We need updates. That's certainly something that should be a bipartisan issue. The president's always going to be looking at how do we create better trade deals, make sure that we're getting our products fair play in other countries across the world. Specifically with China, we want to reduce those deficits. And he wants to keep this economy booming. I mean, we have so many jobs, over 3 million jobs. Wages are up. Things are going well. Look at the GDP. We want to continue that track. It is good for all Americans if we can continue this comeback, but people are going to come to Washington willing to work with President Trump.
Yeah, but is your party divided right now? You've got a horse race going on right now as we speak for the Speaker of the House position, right? Kevin McCarthy wants the job. Jim Jordan wants the job. Meanwhile, Paul Ryan says he's leaving, but he's still around. Should he leave sooner than planned, given the fact that you need unity in the party?
Well, I think they've all agreed that they don't want to have a speaker's race right before November. That's going to be up to them to decide. I will tell you, all of them, Speaker Ryan, McCarthy, and Jim Jordan, are all focused on keeping the majority in November. We want to make sure we have that speaker's seat. We don't want to hand it to Nancy Pelosi. We know what that means. It'll mean government shutdown. It'll mean impeachment. It will mean 2 years of nothing getting done in Washington to benefit the American people. And we need to make sure we hold that majority in the House, and all of them are united on that.
So what are you going to do about that then?
To keep that majority?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the RNC is already in 27 states. We have 500 staff on the ground. We've made over 20 million voter contacts. We know it's going to be about turning out our vote, and that is why we've been running a year-round operation. We've invested more money than we ever had going into a midterm because we know what's at stake, and that is our focus. We've got to keep that majority.
Ronna will be watching. Thanks so much. Good to see you today.
Thanks, Maria.